can dance under the moonlight, hug and squeeze and all through the night. Whoa, whoa, baby, yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you wanna dance? Oh, do you dance with me, baby? Do you wanna dance? Oh, do you dance with me, baby? Do you wanna dance? Oh, do you wanna dance with me, baby? Girl, all through the night. Oh, baby, yeah. Do you wanna dance? Oh, do you? Do you? Do you wanna dance? Oh, do you? Do you? Do you wanna dance? You gotta dance. Keep on dancing with me, darling. I can't stand it when you stop dancing, baby. You come on. Come on. Come on. Come on and dance. Dance with me, baby. Dance, dance. Oh, yeah. Light. Dance with me, baby. Dance with me.